Cindy, I saw you on Democracy Now! A few weeks ago. You gave some reasons for your retirement. I thought you did that. Can you give us a story, some insight, share your feelings and thoughts? What's happened since that time?
Okay, well, I retired on May 28th, which was Memorial Day, and I had just gotten back from a trip to Europe. I was exhausted, I was depleted, financially, physically, mentally. Any way I could be depleted, I was depleted. And I had resigned from the Democratic Party when I was in Dublin. I got home, and people in this country are so beholden to a two-party system, and to their parties, they can't see the forest for the trees. I've never been sure what that metaphor means. I think I used it correctly. So I retired, but we always meant that to come back. I said that we were going to regroup. We were going in the right direction for so long that I believe we came to a roadblock. And I'm not like George Bush. I don't keep beating my head against a roadblock, and say, I'm not going to change course. So we decided to change course because we think that's what smart people do. We think that's what people who are committed to a lifetime of helping humanity do. So I did some intentional things to get some rest and recuperation, went to the ocean, went to the desert, just got a lot of restorative rest. I got my health back, which was something that had been, I've been in pain for so long. It was getting to be part of me. And so sold Camp Casey, and I got a little bit of money in my bank account so I could relax a little bit that way. People don't realize that, even though I'm now single and out on the road, I still have 3 children. I put 2 of them through college, and so even peace activists have to eat and sleep somewhere. People don't realize that. So, so a lot of things were happening while I was retired. First of all, my sister Dee Dee and my assistant Tiffany and I came up with People for Humanity, that we were going to go in a humanitarian direction. And we believe that the impeachment of George Bush and Dick Cheney would be a huge service to humanity. So while I was retired, the surge was killing more soldiers. June was one of the worst months for the war for our soldiers. That quarter was the worst quarter of the war. Every single day, George Bush kept on lying about the war. The Democrats kept on, doing their little smoke screen activities against the war. When, like I said earlier, you don't hand someone $120 billion, and then he's the commander-in-chief, and he's right about that. He was never elected. But, he's illegally the commander-in-chief. But the commander-in-chief has the authority to do what he's doing. But Congress has the authority to take the money away. So then Dick Cheney comes out and says he's not part of the executive branch. He's shredding records. Truckloads of shredded documents are leaving his residence and office. He tells, the investigators he doesn't have to provide his documents. He doesn't have to provide them to the NSA, not the NSA, the National Archives. And I was just like, well, that's just like total bullshit. And Congress keeps on letting him get away with it. And then the last thing that really frosted my cupcake was, how's that for congressional language? The thing that sprinkled the Parmesan on my lasagna was when George Bush commuted Scooter Libby's sentence. I couldn't freaking believe it. And I couldn't believe that they were still not in prison. It is just totally incredible to me. So it's really his fault. He said that he was going to be on trial in Macon, Georgia on July 12th. And I even was still in retirement when I heard about this. So I said, I gotta come and support my son. I just got a new RV, so a bunch of, well, it's not new, but I got an RV, so a bunch of us were going to head from Crawford to Macon, Georgia to support Reverend. And he said he was going to call a symbolic march from Atlanta to DC. And I'm like, well, no, we're going to do a real march from Atlanta to DC. And that was like, this stuff happened like all on the same day, I think. And so my sister and I cooked up this Journey for Humanity and Accountability. And since Reverend's trial or hearing was postponed, we decided to start it in Crawford. And you know, we never planned. I got so many emails from soldiers and Iraqis and other people in the Middle East, from their soldiers' families saying, you can't give up. Cindy, we are counting on you. Please, please don't give up. Get rest and come back. So that was what really, you know, made me come back. And I wanted them to know that even though I was retiring, I wasn't going to abandon them. And that's why we started People for Humanity. But I think it was a good thing, because I think it got people talking about, like Reverend was saying, about the movement. You know, after I quit, I got so much support. I got my hospital bills paid off. I got, you know, a lot of support. And I was just thinking, wow, if this had happened before I retired, maybe I wouldn't have had to retire. So we have to take care of our activists who don't punch a time clock, who are on the streets and, you know, in communities. People like Carlos and Marita and Reverend, the Hip Hop Caucus, and me and Team Cindy. You know, we have to support those people who are able, because not everybody's able to just, you know, take off and be gone forever. But you need to support those people who are, so they don't get burned out. And you can't like put everything on one person. It has to be spread out. You know, the activism. I still don't see any of you being talked about on Bill O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh all the time. You know, so it has to be spread out, and people, everybody they have to be able to. You know, do the work that needs to be done, support the people that need to be supported. And like Reverend said, you know, everybody get their freaking ego out of the way. What we're doing is too important to be worried about our own egos before we're worried about saving the world. And if we all got our egos out of the way, then Answer would work with the UFPJ. Military Families Speak Out would work with other people. You know, World Can't Wait is really good. We work with we work with all these groups. You know, but some groups are, oh, I'm never going to work with that group, or this activist saying, I'm never going to work with that activist. You know, if we all join forces, and I'm not saying we march in lockstep like the neocons, because we're too smart for that. But I always say we unite under the message of bring our troops home, hold the people accountable for this, and then we work towards that, and we support the people who can work towards it, instead of trying to bring them down because of our egos and our personal agendas, whatever those might be. So, you know, that's what happened. I'm back earlier, was going to come back in August, but we really felt this was too important, and it really has energized, I think, the impeachment movement, the movement for accountability, the movement, a people's movement in opposition to the two-party system. It's almost like Camp Casey in August of '05 that energized the anti-war movement. You know, this is just going in a new direction, and I think that, like Rev said, this is the time where we can really make these true and lasting and relevant changes. Not only cure, I call George Bush and Dick Cheney the boils on the ass of democracy, because they're just boils, they're not the disease. You know, so what? We last George Bush and Dick Cheney and we get Hillary, big deal. You know, what's the difference? There's not that much difference. So we have to cure the cancer that is festering in our democracy. You know, not this time, after Vietnam, we all put away our peace symbols and put our signs away and went home. We can't do that this time. You know, we have to cure it instead of just lancing the boils. I mean, the boils have to go. That's for sure. But the thing inside us that's causing that, those boils have to go to.